Fresh off a West Coast mystery swing at Las Vegas and Irwindale, the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series hits its first and potentially only stop in the Midwest tonight with a trip to Indianapolis. In the shadow of the famous Brickyard and Pagoda, you'll find a flat 0.68 mile short track called IRP, and boy can it be fun. Super late models aren't the usual car of choice here, making tonight's Under the Lights combo even more intriguing. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Indianapolis, Indiana. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zachary King alongside tonight, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Tonight's coverage of the Pedley's Garage 115 is brought to you by Pierce Fleet Service, Pedley's Garage, and by all series partners. Warm-up is underway, and we are at a pretty special venue. I'm pretty excited for this evening's race. This is not your usual kind of super late model short track that you think of, Zach. In fact, this is one of the bigger tracks we'll see all season long, and one of the bigger tracks we'll ever see in this series. Of course, we do occasionally hit those one-milers like we went to with Mexico City in race 2, but this is otherwise one of the bigger tracks we'll see on the schedule. A lot like North Wilkesboro in terms of length, but it's really, really flat, really wide, a lot of racing room. You've been here recently with the BRB Sundance Pro Series, but this racetrack in a super late model is going to be a special kind of challenge.
Yeah, always going to IRP. You're always in Indiana, the what everybody calls American motorsports. You know, you get Indy at the Indy 500, sometimes NASCAR at the Brickyard 400, but you're still in Indiana, and every time you're in Indiana, you always want to win. You always want to finish on the top step, and it's going to be an interesting race tonight.
Yeah, when I think of Indiana and super late models, I think Anderson, Indiana, and the Redbud 400. I was there earlier this year to finally experience that event. This is different. I mean, this is just a different kind of racetrack. This is, I think, twice as big and a fraction of the banking of Anderson Speedway. So this is a big difference. Of course, we don't have Anderson on the iRacing sim, so this is kind of as close as we can get to having an Indiana short track for super late models. As we get into the iRacing.com sim here in just a second, there's iRacing.com, and we can take a look, of course, at the point standings coming into tonight. Here's a look at them. We did miss last week's race at Irwindale. That was the second mystery race of the season. The first mystery race was the Bull Ring. That followed North Wilkesboro and Mexico City. Then it was the Bull Ring. Then it was Irwindale. Now we are here at IRP. Last week, it was Cole Cabry taking the win at Irwindale, albeit through some controversy as Cameron Hamilton was DQ'd out of the winning position. He had the win at first, but later was DQ'd due to contact for that position. And if you go back and look at the stats, Cameron Hamilton had just one lap led, and Cole Cabry had 100 and some. So it makes sense that Cole Cabry would have been next in line to get that win, of course, by contact from Cameron Hamilton. Anyways, this is how things shake out. Definitely a Cole Cabry kind of season already, and if these guys are not careful, there's a drop week figured in soon. I don't think just yet, but if these guys are not careful, this could easily be a Cole Cabry situation through and through. Right? We've seen him run away with point situations before. Alex McCullum typically has been that guy in the past, but Zach, I know you're looking at this and you're wondering who the heck is doing what this season. All you really need to know: Cole Cabry, Josh Cottle, Alex McCullum. You could throw in a few others. Cameron Hamilton certainly can contend. He nearly got the win last week at Irwindale, for example, as I mentioned. Casey Kelly traditionally would be somebody to consider. He's not here tonight. He has Chase Williamson subbing in. Jacob Harbert certainly could always contend. He's a teammate to Alex McCullum, and he has that win from North Wilkesboro. This might be in his wheelhouse, with that in mind. Other drivers, Trevor Edwards is sailing up the power rankings lately. We'll take a look at that in a second. So those are some drivers to consider. Some long shots might even be guys like Steele Langford, Blake Massengill, and some of those guys on the other side of the points graphic. But looking at this season schedule, this might be a little bit different from what you're used to, Zach. Bringing you in here mid-season, kind of a special one-off because I'm sick, under the weather, but these guys run mystery races. What that means is the drivers don't know where we're going until we show up and go racing, basically. It could be any racetrack within a certain parameter, and that throws these guys for a loop. In this case, they've known Indianapolis was coming up. They've known to start practicing for IRP for a while. These guys should have their cars tuned really, really well tonight. We should see some really hooked up race cars. But in your experience here at IRP, back in the NASCAR Cup car with BRB recently, what was it like getting around this place? How challenging is the racetrack itself?
You know, the track is really challenging. You would think when you go to a short track, the bottom groove on the yellow line is where you're going to want to be. But I've been able to watch some of these guys practice while the session's been up, and it looks like everybody's running that middle line. You start to see the little bit of the rubber coming in the middle line, and it's a tough track, but it's also really a lot of fun because it's a lot of a driver skill track. You have to worry about, you know, saving your stuff and just putting yourself in good positions and not being aggressive and not taking yourself out of it.
Definitely a lot on these drivers' minds tonight at this particular racetrack, and we can take a look at the weather conditions as well. 72.6 degrees in the air, 76 on track. It's a pretty cool night, 66% humidity, nothing too crazy. And if we look at the date and time, it's set to be today's date, November the 6th at 6:22, so about 3.5 hours off. That's okay. But yeah, this is, I think, going to be a pretty calm race in terms of weather conditions. It shouldn't be too crazy on tires or anything. Granted, it is a high-load racetrack in terms that it is flat, and they are carrying a lot of speed through the corners. So without further ado, let's get to power rankings and then to some practice times. Cole Cabry, he's got a score of 65.1. Now, the last time we saw these power rankings, he had a score of like 80, and Alex McCollum had a score of 83 or so. So things have definitely changed. Definitely changed. I think we're seeing a lot more parity as this season goes on. And of course, let's keep in mind, these power rankings take results from not only the SARA Super Series here on Thursdays, but also the SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour that we see occasionally on Thursdays, and they were recently in action a couple of weeks ago at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for that 300 lap, or the All-American 300. They only had a few cautions in that 300 lap race, and it was Chris Horton who went to victory lane. The results were completely thrown off by some fuel strategy, so that has shaken these power rankings up a little bit. This takes into account everything at the top echelon of SARA racing, and it shakes these guys out into these power rankings. But again, you see those same names at the top: Cabry, McCollum, Cottle, Edwards, Hamilton, Kelly, even a couple of long shots: Drunowski, Turzak, and Petter. Guys to watch that are maybe not always up front, but definitely becoming, I think, threats to win these races.
Yeah, well, even if you're on the power rankings, you're fifth on back. There's still not an expectation, but there's a precedent of, if you're on those power rankings, you're going to be one of the top guys in the series, and you should be able to start maneuvering yourself, put yourself in the good position to win.
Speaking of Cameron Hamilton, there is the number 10 super late model on the racetrack. He's fourth in practice. You can see times there on the left side of your screen. Cabry, the fastest in this session. Colin Allman second. He was up high on the results list from Irwindale a week ago, and he could be one to watch for as well. He's just a little more unknown. Hasn't run quite as many races this season, so we don't know as much about Colin, but he is one to watch for, I think. Chase Williamson is that sub for Casey Kelly. He could be interesting tonight considering he's fifth on the board so far. And Kyle Turzak, of course, is always fun to watch here in these races. Alex McCollum down in 8th in this practice session. That's a little low for him. We'll see what he has in race trim. He's, of course, teammates with Jacob Harberts and with Kendall Tucker, so we'll see how those drivers shake out as we get into the race session here in just a moment. Qualifying already happened, so we will go straight now from this warm-up session into the race session and take a look at the Lucky Performance starting grid. And it looks like, so for those of you that are new, and Zach, you are, I'll go through it and kind of explain the process here. Now, you're going to see these guys initially grid up right now by qualifying time. And wouldn't you know it, Colin Allman was fastest in qualifying. But these top 8 will be shuffled, reordered by a points metric, meaning lower in points starts higher, higher in points starts lower, more or less. There's a few more details to it, but that's the general rule of thumb. So we can take a look at these top 8. Remember, they will get shuffled, but Colin Allman, fastest in qualifying. Kyle Turzak, second quick. Then it was Joe Schaefer Jr. and Kyle Meyer. They qualified in row 2, but of course will be shuffled around a little bit. It'll be Josh Cottle and Alex McCullum also in this top 8 reshuffle, along with Dante Curtis and Cody Dempster. Dante Curtis, by the way, teammate Alex McCullum. That's pretty cool to see Dante having speed here tonight. Starting from 9th, and from here on, these guys are in their starting spots. Starting from 9th, Jacob Harberts in that number 80, teammates Alex McCullum and associate builder over there at Black Magic Performance. Tracy Petter rolls off from 10th. Zach?
Rolling off 11th will be Spencer Dickinson, and alongside him will be Trevor Edwards. Rolling off in row 7 will be Chase Williamson and Steele Langford. Rolling off 15th tonight will be Kendall Tucker and Chris Horton alongside him. Starting off 17th, Matt Rolfe and Blake Thornburg. Behind them will be Mitch Junowski and Aaron Johnson.
And your back 10, Cameron Hamilton and Joel Smith in the 11th row. Back in row 12, Cole Cabry, look at that. Two-time winner this season. He's starting deep in the field in 23rd spot alongside Daniel Pope. It'll be Brian Tedeschi and Corey Bodie from row 13. Then Keith Jeffrey and Justin Laxton, your top 28 qualifiers on time. And it looks like getting the provisional tonight will be Parker Traves in that number 60, along with not John Willett, but actually Justin Crow here, who qualified in 31st based on times. That sends John Willett, Grant Brown, Dallas Pataska, Kyle Souza, and Devin Rogers home this evening here at IRP. We should have one more pace lap in the bank. Let's go ahead and take a look through your Whiplash SimCam's race details. This is a 115 lap or a 78.2 mile race. I believe it comes out to about 125 kilometers. No change sets. The choose is in effect. That'll be down the back straightaway coming to 1 to green. Cautions will count. 2 green-white checkers out there if we need them. It's an open setup race with no fast fix. It's your usual kind of SARA Super Series race. But boy, this could be really, really interesting as Kendall Tucker is moving around a little bit, trying to find his place in the field. He's actually going to slot in there. Yeah, that's where he should be. So he was just moving around a little bit. And at the front of the field, it will be Kyle Turzak leading us to the green over Kyle Meyer and the rest of these 30 starters. The iRacing.com safety car will take the dip to the relative safety of pit lane this time. And we'll turn things over to the stars and the cars of the SARA Super Series. 115 laps in Indianapolis. The Pedley's Garage, 115, about to get rolling here at IRP, waiting for that restart zone. Kyle Turzak will get us started. Green flag in Indianapolis. Down the back straightaway for the first time, Kyle Meyer, Alex McCullum side by side. I've just been notified by Trevor Edwards, who's in this race, that the strength of field in tonight's race, 55.72. That is nearly 6,000.
That is wild to me. I'm not used to seeing a number that high.
First battle on the racetrack now. Kyle Meyer dropping down the order a bit. Joe Schaefer Jr. to his inside. This is going to bring Josh Cottle up to 7th. Dante Curtis has sunk back to the 8th spot, just ahead of his teammate Jacob Harberts. Cole Cabry, he's in the middle of all this fighting back here. This is what it looks like for him. He's all the way down to that yellow line on the inside of the racetrack. Let's go on board with him. As McCullum goes fastest behind Dempster and Turzak. This is Cabry's view. Thronberg up top. Jernowski is up there. Aaron Johnson's around him.
Looks like he was in a dive to make it 3 wide there on the bottom. Stay side by side.
I mean, this almost goes back to Busch Series days of running here IRP. I think that's the closest comparison that I could really make for these cars at this racetrack. You know everybody is going to be too wide at the start here up top on the racetrack, so you've just got to find somewhere to go. And in Cole's case, it's going to be the bottom. There's not much else racetrack that's open. He's got to find somewhere to go. So if you qualify as poorly as he did, you kind of know what you've got to do here early. You see the back of the field still doubled up. Tedeschi in trouble. He was all over the racetrack on the inside of Daniel Pope, with Corey Bodie just behind, Justin Laxton in tow, but they're starting to figure it out. Drunowski now to the inside of the BMP 22. That is just ahead, or rather just behind Cole Camry. That is now for the 19th spot.
Top 20 all single filed out here.
At the front of the field, Kyle Turzak has taken the lead now by 0.6, and this is what we tend to see. It might not be the fastest qualifier that wins the kind of invert or metric, if you will, at the start, but whoever starts first is usually able to fire off really well, Zach, and hold on to that lead for a while. But how long in this case? With Alex McCullum charging through the field, he's already working here on Cody Dempster. How long can Turzak stay out there? It's been 8.5 laps now, and it looks like he's got a decent gap to the one car, but how long can Dempster hold him off? We'll find out.
Yeah, looking at the lap times from qualifying, they were all really close. We're under caution.
Caution here, Keith Jeffrey, who nearly had that illustrious top 5 a week ago at Irwindale while we weren't broadcasting. He's turned around here on the inside of turn 3, gets back rolling, of course, but we keep telling him if he gets a top 5, we'll talk to him after a race, and nearly got the top 5 the week we weren't here. But here's a look at it for Keith Jeffrey. Oh, Laxton came up, and I want to say they might be, well, they're not teammates. I forget who Laxton is teamed with, maybe John Roulette, but Roulette's not in the race tonight. He did not make it in on qualifying times. Laxton just kind of clears up here. Jeffrey did hold down a little ways, but they met in the middle regardless and go for a slide. Parker Traves and Justin Crow narrowly get by. And this sends a group of them to the pit lane. Laxton and Jeffrey certainly hit the pits. Parker Traves hitting the pits as well, but just for a few seconds. 4.6. You and I were talking about it a little bit before the broadcast started. Would we see these guys pit? I know you're used to it from the NASCAR side of things. These guys don't typically pit, but I said you might see a few top off on fuel. That might be the situation here for Parker. This is also open setup, so he could have been making a slight adjustment to the race car. It's hard to say. A lot of these guys, I think, do start off a little bit light on fuel to kind of fudge the numbers a little bit with the setup. But I'm not entirely sure in Parker's case, because he's even coming back down now. So this could be even a matter of damage repair.
Yeah, when he was on pit road this last time, it was only like 5 or 6 seconds. So I would agree with you on the setup change, but now it looks like he's just sitting there.
And Traves gets back rolling now. That time in the pit lane ends up being 14 seconds, so significantly longer than the last stop. And we're seeing the choose now take place actually on the other side of the racetrack. That has just taken place, and there's a few more cars heading through it. There you see they'll be choosing at the beginning of that yellow line coming into the pit lane. In this case, Kyle Turzak has chosen the bottom. Alex McCullum has chosen the top. Dempster chose low. Schaefer chose high. Allman chose low. Cottle chose high. Meyer chose low. Harberts chose high. And then in row 5, it is Curtis down low, Petter up high. We'll come back to the restart zone this time, just about, with 13 complete. That means 102 laps to go here in the Pedley's Garage 115. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Pit Stop TV. It's a pleasure as always. About to go back green flag racing in the SARA Super Series just the way we want it. One caution in the books. Green flag this time. We are racing once again, IRB.
Turzak with another great restart there. He's just able to pull out to a little bit of a bigger gap than I would assume would be normal, and he's just been able to fire off really early on these runs. See the field working through turns 3 and 4. Cole Camry, that bright red car on the inside once again, but for second place, Cody Dempster, Alex McCullum. This is important, I think, for Turzak. Turzak really needs Dempster to win this battle.
Otherwise, it might be Alex McCullum off to the races to chase down that 15 car. We just know how good McCullum tends to be in these late models. He's going to have to hold off for now. He slots into third behind Cody Dempster. Colin Allman there on the inside, going to make it difficult.
Colin Allman's going to get there almost, as you see. Ooh, that was really, really tight.
This all just ahead of Joe Schaefer. Just ahead of Joe Schaefer and Josh Cottle. Cottle trying to get through as well. He's got to win this season. He wants to move forward and keep his points battle alive. Of course, he's trying to make inroads on the points lead to Cole Cabry. They're side by side.
Forcing the issue, making it 3 wide. He's hauling back there. You gotta think about how much is he burning this stuff up, though, trying to get by all these guys.
You see Cabry in the distance. In that camera shot down the front straightaway, he is up to 16th spot. Working now on Chase Williamson, Kendall Tucker, and some others. As Cabry, or rather Cottle, will get clear for 5th, passing Joe Schaefer Jr. Cottle going to try and bring his shop teammate Kyle Meyer on through. Although Meyer now under fire from Jacob Harberts, of course teammate to Alex McCullum and Dante Curtis and Kendall Tucker. So this is all a bunch of team games at the front of the field. Harbert's down to the inside of that 88 car. And it's always interesting, of course, you're still learning who's who and who's associated with who, but it's interesting once you know kind of who's on what team to see who thrives on short run, on long run, what setups are moving forward, what setups are moving backwards.
And this is also new to me. We just haven't seen the open setup in like a league style thing with teams, you know, so the teams have probably alliances and probably have this almost similar setups to each other. But this is definitely something different that I haven't seen in a while. Probably ever.
Teal Langford now alongside Dante Curtis. Some big battles at the back end. Brian Tedeschi around. He keeps the car moving, no caution. And he will now drop to the almost last spot, next to last spot. Keith Jeffrey in dead last right now, a lap down. There is Kyle Terzak. He is out clear on the race leader, well, on the rest of the field, rather. He is the race leader. He's out clear by nearly 1 second over Cody Dempster and Alex McCullum. And these 5 are starting to break away from the 7th on back.
Man, look at that gap for Terzak right now. He's scooting away.
That's the goal here. When you have this track position like this, you want it to go as green as possible. And if you do get cautions, you need to hold the fast guys back and play the restarts to your advantage. That's definitely the goal in this case for Kyle Terzak, to try and get away as much as possible during these runs whenever you have them, and hope that you can hang on to it all race long. Meanwhile, back here for the now 12th spot, Cole Cabry has moved up to 13th. He's working on Spencer Dickinson for 12th. Let's go on board with Cabry here. These guys are teammates at the shop. Dickinson might not fight too hard.
I've been watching Cabry most of this race so far because we showed him on the power rankings, and it is just phenomenal how he's placing his car in these positions to make these moves and drive through the field from, I believe he started 23rd, so he's been doing a phenomenal job of keeping his car clean, making these moves quick and fast. He still has about 90 laps to go to get to the front.
Plenty of time to keep moving forward. He's already made up more than 10 spots, moving from 23rd now to 12th. He's about halfway through the field. That said, of course, it's easier to pass guys who start from the back. As you keep moving forward through the field, those passes are going to get harder and harder to make. You're getting into better and better traffic, and your gains will be harder and harder to make. So worth watching as Alex McCullum is around on the inside of the racetrack, parked. He reverses, and that will be a caution. McCullum from third position. He finished dead last at Irwindale last week. This is absolutely not what he needs right now. You can afford one bad race, that'll get dropped. You can't afford 2. Here's the moment. Colin Allman might have just barely got the back of the 1 car.
Ooh, he most definitely probably got help from that one. Just seeing how the car just rotated. I don't know how these cars drive, but obviously that didn't look normal per se.
There's the onboard from Allman. Just barely got him. I mean, that is as light as contact can be.
You know, I'd like to go behind the person that's behind Allman there, because it looks like Allman got loose on entry, and you could just see him start to catch the car and just runs him over. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was Josh Cottle behind Colin Allman. I don't think they made contact. Let's see it from the driver's eye POV of Colin Allman, perhaps. I mean, it's just a matter of speed differences at that part of the corner. Colin barely got into him. And, you know, looking at it, we'll look at it from high above here one more time. If you watch the one of McCullum, he might have been just giving an extra stab of brake to try and set the nose and get back on throttle and try to get underneath the 24. I mean, it's such light contact. I'm honestly surprised that tipped the one car and spun him around that easily.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was a harder hit just because of how the car spun, but it was very, very light, minimal contact.
And that will send Allman to the rear. It will also set up for our second choose of the night. Kyle Terzak will lead us down the back straightaway, and you'll see he will choose the inside. Dempster will choose high. Cottle goes high from third. That puts Harberts down low along with Joe Schaefer Jr. Tracy Petter goes high. Meyer goes low, although it might have been real close on the choose. And I believe Cole Cabry just chose into the 9th position. And that would be on the inside.
Now, if you're Kyle Terzak, you got to be kind of happy inside the car, seeing McCollum spin, but don't look back. Don't get too happy, because Cole Cabry's coming. He's up to 9th. He's on the inside. This is going to be a great battle right here.
And Terzak has really no RKM help around him. I mean, Dempster, I forget who Dempster runs with. It's going to be independent, as far as it's listed on the graphic. But then Harberts runs, of course, for Black Magic. Cottle for the shop. Joe Schaefer, I think, for the association, potentially. Tracy Petter for EPI / Open Trailer Mafia. I mean, there's no RKM help up here for Kyle Terzak. He's kind of on his own. Here we go, restart zone. Green flag once again here at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Terzak was able to clear by 2 on entry to turn 1. But look at Cole Cabry on the bottom, making it 3 wide.
Cabry down low, restarted 9th. He's on the inside now of Steele Langford. Langford heading over to the Posse recently. New team for him. But Cabry has cracked the top 8 now as there's a battle on for second place. Jacob Harberts to the inside of Cody Dempster. That's going to bring Josh Cottle along with.
And all this is doing is holding them up. It's just holding them up, running side by side, and Cabry's starting to close in. All those cars behind are starting to munch up, and we're gonna have a bunch of cars under a blanket here.
Cabry's not as far back as he once was, that's for sure. He's 8th, right behind Langford and Petter, who get battling as, man, Harberts and Dempster stay so close. 80 laps to go, it looks like. And these two are nearly inseparable, fighting for second place.
This is an amazing battle right now. Seeing cars this tight, this close to each other, always brings joy when you're commentating a race. And they are driving phenomenal right now. Still side by side, still losing time, but what a phenomenal battle here for second.
I misspoke earlier, by the way. The 6th of Schaefer drives with the Posse, as that was Dempster up the racetrack after contact with Harberts. I think Dempster's going to follow that in the memory banks. Dempster falls back now alongside the 6th of Schaefer that I was just mentioning. So Schaefer and Langford that are teammates. This could actually be a big night for the posse as far as the Davis Chassis Works team standings go. But up front, Terzak's got a 1.2 second lead over Jacob Harberts and Josh Cottle. Those two now getting to battling for second, but it is still side-by-side contact that time off of turn 4 for the 4th spot. And look at Cabry. He's up to 8th. Well, still 8th, but right behind this. There goes Cottle for second. Problems, Aaron Johnson around. Turn 3. Alex McCullum has dropped to the back of the field. Tracy Petter now slow. That's going to be a caution for the 79. Oh, my goodness. Kendall Tucker still rolling on his lid. Tracy Petter, the other car, at least one of the other cars, immensely involved. Still Langford also. Kendall Tucker still has turtled.
Wow.
Here in turns 1 and 2. And that will undoubtedly be a tow.
Vicious. What happened?
Well, that's what we're going to try and find out. Here's the 00. He was a ways behind the 79 and 33. It starts with them. Petter and Langford involved here in turns 1 and 2. Cabry's on the inside. Let's hope he wasn't involved in this. Cabry has continued on. He's 6th. And oh my goodness. They just squeezed together and then into turn 1. Wow. Holy cow.
That's such a weird angle for a car to flip. I mean, you'd see that at like a short track or something. I don't know. I've never been, but that looks like it's a realistic crash. But I don't think I'd ever see that on the surface.
Here we go. We'll slow it down. Quarter speed. They just squeezed together. Langford did not leave Petter enough room. Into the wall they go. Let's speed it up for a second. Slow it down right here. Car's not checking up. Drunowski got into Tucker. That tips Tucker over. Then they stacked up trying to avoid Langford, and I think another car went over there, possibly Langford. But you see Tucker along for the ride. That's incredible.
You know, I do have to say, the one thing that's really different about IRP when you're racing on the surface is these walls will grab you and will throw you in the air. And he's lucky he didn't get caught in the catch fence or something else and somebody else just hit him, but that was vicious.
And now for the 33 of Langford here. We still got to see what happened to Aaron Johnson. That happened moments before this. Here's Langford into turn 1. He's going to get hit by cars who couldn't check up. Bodie, Thronberg, and Massengill. And yes, Langford also went over onto his lid. So 2 flips in 1 crash in 1 corner. And then we got to go back and see what happened to Aaron Johnson in the 78 car. He was racing with Alex McCullum. This is just before that massive accident. McCullum just got into his left rear, and Johnson couldn't save it. That's a massive hit to the inside wall.
You see that right? The left front is just not going the correct direction.
Boy, oh boy. Things have taken a few turns here, starting to thin the field down a little bit, down to 28 cars left running, and I'm surprised we've only lost 2. That means I think Kendall Tucker... No, Langford's back rolling. Langford just flipped and he's back on the racetrack. There he is. But here we go. Restart zone coming up. Green flag once again here at IRP.
The tightest restart of the day. Terzak and Cottle side by side going through 1 and 2. Still side by side.
Terzak chose bottom. Terzak chose bottom as he has been. Cottle chose top. And hung on to his outside for a while there. A couple of cars slow, Dante Curtis and more. And we stay racing at the front of the field. There goes Cottle way down low.
I think these guys are starting to realize that here comes Cabry. He's up to 5th now. He started to pull himself into all this fight as we go on board with Cottle here through turn 1.
You can see the red roof of Cabri in the mirror of Cottle's perspective here. Look at the mirror in the corner. You'll see that bright red roof just lingering back there.
I know Halloween just passed, but it's almost like Jason or was it Michael Myers
stalking. For now, though, it's Terzak leading over Josh Cottle, Jacob Harberts, and Cody Dempster. That's your top 4. Cole Cabri makes it 5. Joe Schaefer Jr. I'm getting names all mixed up. Joe Schaefer Jr. in 6th. Trevor Edwards in 7th, and Kyle Meyer, Spencer Dickinson, and Chase Williamson in a sub-effort for Casey Kelly. This could be a big day for that 5 car. To have a substitute driver in it and still go top 10, that would be huge. Of course, that car is fielded by the association. I'm not sure what kind of support Chase Williamson has with them specifically, but I would imagine there's at least some kind of setup help considering that's Casey's car. And go back to the power rankings. Casey has soared up those power rankings recently, up to 6th, nearly the top 5. And in a power rankings of 40 drivers, that's pretty impressive for Casey Kelly. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, but good to see his car running well.
I mean, look at the power rankings comparing them to the top 10. It looks like there's like 5 or 6 that are on the power rankings in the top 10 that are also top 10 on the racetrack right now. And that's even surprising, even though we haven't had a really, really long green flag run, as it's supposed to say. But it just proves how much these power rankings do not play a factor, but it does show you who is strong and when they're running strong and who has confidence in their car.
Yeah, I mean, consider the fact that McCullum, of course, was just involved in that little incident a little while ago. Got turned and then got into Aaron Johnson, so McCullum is back in the 16th spot. Consider
He's right
then...
behind this battle.
Yeah, he is. Consider then that Cam Hamilton started from the back of the field pretty much. He is just behind this. He's in the picture right now. He's in the 13th spot, so he's not quite top 10 just yet. Casey Kelly is not here tonight. Mitch Drumnowski is down in 18th. And then Tracy Petter was involved in that big crash in turn 1. He's 27th. Otherwise, I think all of those guys in the top 10 of the power rankings are in the top 10 on the racetrack currently, I think.
You got Terzak down in 8th. You got Cottle in 3rd. Or I'm sorry, I'm going off power rankings. But yeah, a lot of these guys are doing a phenomenal job in the power rankings and on the racetrack right now.
Of course, keep an eye on that as the season goes on. Big battle back here. I think one car might have just blinked out for a second. There's a nice battle here between Tedeschi and Crow. This has Dante Curtis just behind. Curtis started in the top 10 tonight. I was kind of hoping we might see a career day out of Dante Curtis. Maybe he would get up there and battle for a win, but it seems like maybe the qualifying pace and race pace just don't quite match up for Dante Curtis. And, I think that's certainly bigger here than in most leagues we cover. A lot of leagues we cover end up being fixed setup. We see that in the BRB Sundance Pro Series, for example. So you'll know, Zach, I mean, when it comes to a fixed setup league, it doesn't matter too much between qualifying and race. It's usually the same setup. So there isn't much difference. It's just a matter of who can put one lap together versus 5 or 6. But here, these guys are on different setups between qualifying and racing. So there literally could be a big difference between their pace in one or the other. I think we're seeing that maybe for Dante Curtis. But out front, it is all RKM with Kyle Terzak behind the wheel of that kind of Phantom. I like the look. It's hard to see the logos in that car, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, that car looks phenomenal. But also, I want to touch on real quick the 88 of Keith Jeffrey. He's been dropping pretty heavily as the cars get loose there off exit. But he's been dropping really heavily these last couple of laps. Like he just has maybe burned off the tires or something.
Here's Keith Jeffrey. Of course, he was involved, I believe, in the first incident of the night. And he muscles his way ahead of Mitch Drunowski there. That's for his 17th spot for now. Just behind...
sorry, it was Drunowski and Keith Jeffrey. It was the green 88.
Ah, that would be Kyle Meyer, actually. So Meyer's been dropping down. And yeah, I could have sworn he was top 10 recently. He is down now to the 16th spot, racing with the other 88 of Jeffries. Or Jeffrey, rather. And Meyer started, or qualified 4th at least. That's another driver that I would have thought would have had better race pace tonight, but it just seems like it's not quite there for the 88 car. Kyle Meyer down in 16th, almost 17th, as Keith Jeffrey works on his outside.
You can see he's fighting something in that car because you can see the wiggle off of turn 2. We'll see if we see it here off exit. Never mind.
Well, I wanted to bring attention actually to Colin Allman, because Allman, remember, he qualified on pole tonight, hasn't yet led a lap because, of course, the metric put him behind. Put him behind the pole position for the start of the race. So Terzak has led them all so far, but Allman was fastest in qualifying. It's interesting that he's hanging this far back. He's down currently in 9th, racing with Matt Wolf for that spot. And you saw the contact on a 2 a lap ago for he and Cameron Hamilton. Close again. Still a good-looking race car. Still a good-looking race car there for the 67, but has a little bit of work to do.
And remember, the 67 also had to go to the rear for, I believe, causing a caution earlier in this race.
That's right. He turned around Alex McCullum. That's a big part of this.
McCullum down in 14th.
Hamilton looking low. He barely made that one work.
It's so nice to see on a short track where there's multiple groove racing and there's still 3 wide. Oh, this is amazing.
This is a really cool fight just between these 3. This is just a small sample size of what's happening on the racetrack right now as these 3 get after it. Lap 66 here of 115. There is Terzak leading. He's got a 7/10 of a second lead currently.
Don't look back, but look who's in 3rd. Cole Cabry.
He's moved ahead of Dempster and Harberts into the top 3 now, so Cabry setting sail.
Oh, front straightaway.
Cameron Hamilton, that battle we were just watching, Hamilton and Allman. They've come together.
Wow.
Allman's car looks okay, Hamilton's not so much. Here is Hamilton down low, just gets into Allman and gonna go into the inside wall. Allman, wow, he released the brake perfectly.
That was awesome. Wow.
Watch this here. Hamilton on the inside makes contact and then passes it off to this drone. You see, big hit to the inside wall for Hamilton. Let's take one more look at that for Allman.
I'd love to see an onboard of somebody behind Allman.
So check this out in a second. There's the contact, and then they go down, and Allman releases the brake, rolls back, just keeps it there on the apron. Wow, hello.
That was awesome.
Let's check that out from Kyle Meyer's perspective, maybe, in the 88. They find the correct 88. There he is. You'll see the contact there. Allman goes down, comes back up, and just spins it right around.
Yo, that was amazing. I don't know if we do lucky performance, lucky breaks, but it might not have been a lucky break because he was involved, but that was amazing driving right there.
Just look at it from the onboard with Colin Allman. Wow, that's impressive.
That was amazing. Never in my life have I seen a car going towards the inside wall and then all of a sudden it's going back up the track and not even in the wall. Wow. What driving by Allman there. That was awesome.
To have the wherewithal to get out of the brake momentarily, just for a second, comes in, goes right back out onto the racetrack. But to have the wherewithal to release the brake like that, perfect timing, to let the car roll backwards away from the wall, that was really heads up. You see Alex McCullum slow there briefly. He did not pit. Allman did. McCullum, I think, is heading to the rear. And I'm not sure why.
Yes, he is.
Well, as we get ready to go back green flag racing, I want to thank our partners with the series. Of course, there are plenty of them. Let me get the right graphic. Here we go. All Pro Virtual League, Brown Racing Development, Brett Suggs Racing Media, Corey Bodie Motorsports, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, Dylan Bates Racing, Hyde's Pride Leather and Sheepskin, Hotshot Photography, Impel Motorsports, as well as International Short Track Association, Pedley's Garage, Pierce Fleet Service, Privateer Race Parts, RJW21 Management, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimRatMarket.com, the Association, and Trackside Threads. Back green flag racing, and it was back to the bottom for Terzak, back to the top for Cottle. Here we go.
Got a way better restart this time than he did the last time, but look in third, Cole Cabry, he's coming.
Single file to your top five. Trevor Edwards in sixth. Joe Schaefer contact with Edwards. Schaefer gets by Edwards, a crossover.
Good job, crossover. Heck yeah.
And this is just the battle for sixth. Laps are winding down though, about 40 to go. It's time to get going. If you're not in the top 10 or top 5 really, you need to be making your way there. Chase Williamson right behind these guys.
We need to extend this race. This is too much fun watching these guys battle this hard, this aggressive, this whole time. This has been amazing.
Still a decent bit of racing to go. I mean, 40 laps when we complete this next one. There they go, onto the back straightaway. Edwards on the inside, Schaefer on the outside. Trevor Edwards has been up the power rankings lately. He's in the top 10 now. Good to see him start to put some of that bad luck behind him. I think this new purple color is working out for the 32 car. And oh, Schaefer, I think, checked up. And that got run over by Dickinson. 3 wide, here we go.
3 wide.
Running out of room there on turn 2. They make it through 3 wide. Here's Parker Traves now joining.
They were squeezing each other there off of turn 2, but battle starts to open up and all these cars are under a blanket. Schaefer may have a problem.
He is coming to the pit lane. So that would indicate some kind of wheel damage to me.
And it looked like he barely tapped the wall, but I don't know how these cars' damage models are, and did he just...
I think he's done. Cabry, by the way, has gotten by Josh Cottle. He's now into second place. Cottle down to third, along with Jacob Harberts in fourth and Cody Dempster in fifth. Your top 5 single file. Well, your whole top 10 getting a single file. And Cabry is on the approach.
Cabry started 23rd, up to 2nd, only 79 laps. Wow.
Definitely can't argue with the power rankings that he is the best in the series right now. See single file through the entire field just about. And here we go.
Andrew, I'm gonna ask, do we have a fan cam?
You know, I thought we did have one here. We don't. Might be something to add for the next time. But this is going to be an interesting little battle these last 35 laps or so. Let's bring up the lap time comparison between the 15 and 54. You see their gap bottom right. That's their live gap between them. But here's their lap time comparison, lap after lap. See just how close they are. 4 1,000ths of a second difference last time.
Yeah, Cabry last time the fastest car on track. Terzak was the second fastest car on track. And they're running top 2, so...
We keep watching Terzak and wondering when it's finally going to line up for him to get one of these Super Series victories. Talk about him being one of the younger drivers in the series. Trying to find his way not only here on the sim, but also an avid short track racer in Virginia at Dominion Raceway in Spotsylvania. And he's just trying to find his way in this world of short track racing. keeps getting better. He's aligned with a really good group, Ryan Kuhn Motorsports. Just needs the pieces to fall in place. Admittedly, I don't know that that's going to happen tonight. Cole Cabre looks really, really good, and I think mano-a-mano, I would certainly take Cole over Kyle. But that's not to say the circumstances can't still align. Cole can make a mistake. Anything can still happen. We could get a caution that could get these guys back side by side briefly, and maybe somebody gets into Cole. Who knows? But right now, if you look at these final 30 laps coming up, if they run this green, I gotta think Cabre's got a better car and can get around that 15 car.
Yeah, Terzak's looked phenomenal, but the thing is, he hasn't had to drive through the field, so we don't know how his car is in traffic, and that'll be a really interesting thing if Cabre does get by. Is Terzak going to be able to hold on and be able to fight him back, or is he just going to start falling?
We'll keep an eye on these top two. For now, I want to move around the field a little bit, though. Colin Allman, Kyle Myers side by side with Alex McCollum just behind. This is 14th, 15th, and 16th. So, we talk about maybe a caution being possible still. This could be one of the places it happens. This little fight here, middle of the field. Literally smack dab in the middle. Now, Myers...
Those two have gotten together again before, earlier on in this race, I believe.
Yes, Allman and McCollum. Allman got into McCollum briefly, down in 3 and 4, and sent McCollum around. McCollum and Meyer used to be teammates at the shop. Here comes Crow to the inside. That's going to shake things up a little bit. And this is not the only battle. Further back, we have Tedeschi and Smith. This is for 20th position, with Bodie just behind with some damage. Blake Throneberg is there. So this is kind of guys that are a little off pace, trying to make the best of it. Here comes Throneberg, a big slide job on the inside. Bodie checks up, looking for a crossover attempt maybe. Not going to happen.
These cars sound amazing, and these cars look like they're driving amazing right now.
I'm sure a lot of these guys would probably disagree. I think a lot of these guys fighting the handle of their cars tonight, but it's definitely a lot of fun to watch them. I will say that. Super late model on iRacing is a little different from what you see in the real world. I mean, it's meant to be as close as you can get, and in a lot of ways it is, but there are definitely some stark differences still. But it makes it its own kind of racing, and I really do appreciate the Super on iRacing. The late model stock, also a great race car, but I think I'm starting to favor this thing more and more as we watch recent lap times here. Terzak and Cabre still very close, but Cabre has gotten closer.
Also, something else to look at, Josh Cottle is bringing himself into the mix. He's been running, last time by, he was the fastest car on track. So he's definitely going to start pulling himself into this fight. And if it's a three-way battle, I could see Dempster or Harbert's bringing himself into the battle as well.
We know what we can do. We can compare the whole top four. We can hit this button right here, and here we go. Terzak, Cabre, Cottle, Dempster, all on your screen as far as their lap times. You can kind of monitor who is gaining, who is losing out of these four at the front. We are nearly down to 20 to go. And Zach, you know what that means on top of this battle for the race win. It's time to nominate 4 drivers for the North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote. I know you're new, so I'll tell you what. I won't put you on the spot for 2 drivers, but I'll put you on the spot for 1 right away as there's a caution. Keith Jeffrey turned around.
Oh, man.
A bad day is getting worse for the 88 car.
This is going to change everything here.
Racing here with Justin Crow. Contact off of turn 2. Okay, we just got turned around. Dante Curtis, a great miss. This is some of the stuff happening before it, and then go on board here with Dante Curtis. Jeffrey was in the wall there and won. Came down low, Crow came up, and Curtis just gets by. So, I'll put you back on the spot here. 1 driver, You'll still have to nominate a second in a second, but for now, one driver of the day. Who you got?
I mean, I've been talking about him all race. It'd be wrong of me not to pick him, but I'm gonna make it hard for you. I'm gonna go with Capri right here.
Easy pick, I'd say. A deserving one, but an easy one. He's just been so good. Of course, up those 22 spots at this point. Certainly a good one. Can't argue it. For the fact that he's held on to the lead for this long, we don't always see this out of drivers who start up front. To last this long is pretty impressive. I will grab Kyle Turzak. And I'll give you a reprieve. I will take another here before putting you back on the spot. Again, since you're new to these guys, let's bring up the tower for a second and look at positions gained through the field. Who else is up a lot of spots? Look at that. Daniel Pope, 9th place. Started 24th, currently 9th, up 15 positions. Yes, sir. Daniel Pope is going on there. One more driver from you, Zach. Who you got?
Just because you said earlier in the show that Chase Williamson is subbing in for, was it Kelly?
Yeah,
he's been running a phenomenal race. He's been running a phenomenal race up to this point. He's putting himself in a really good position. Running inside the top 10. I'm going to have to check Chase Williamson.
So Chase Williamson will make it into the driver of the day vote. We've seen that recently for a couple of different sub-drivers. I forget who it was previously. I think at Mexico. There was a really good sub-driver there that was a lot of fun to watch. That vote will go live, and we'll give you a chance now to vote on your driver of the day here today at Indianapolis. Up front, it is Turzak down low, Cabri up high. The choose is pretty much what you would expect, although Harberts chose low behind Cottle, and that allowed Dempster to jump up to the outside of the second row. Edwards goes to 6th. We'll see how this works out from here on out. Green flag coming with 16 laps to go at Indianapolis. Green flag once again in Indy.
Turzak with another good jump. Wow! Side maybe contact.
There was contact. Cabri just got into Turzak. He had that move planned. What a send out of Cole Cabri. At the very least, that's going to shake, rattle, and roll that 15 car. Here we go, 15 to go.
Turzak been phenomenal all race, but here comes Cabri fighting through the back. Now he's able to fight for second, or fight for the lead, I believe. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, fighting for the lead. Just not able to get it there on the bottom. Turzak just so good on that middle line.
That was an incredible move from Cole Cabri. That had to be planned the whole time he was sitting there under caution, thinking about what he would do. That was incredible. Some shakeups in the back. Everybody getting into the wall a little bit. That's okay. We keep racing up front. We can't leave this fight. What's Cole Cabri going to do next? In pursuit of a third win in just 5 races. He could start to put this season on ice. Here he goes to the inside of Turzak down in 1.
Washes up really good in the middle of the corner, trying to get a good run here off exit, but Turzak is again so good in the middle. I think if you're Cabri, you gotta try maybe not go to the bottom if that's how your car has to run, but maybe try to go to the mid, try to go to the top, maybe a little bit higher than Turzak. But there's no beating that middle line dominance right there from Turzak.
In case you're curious, by the way, that black screen you saw and lack of sound is a good illustration of how low these cars are on the ground. They are sealed off, and when that happens, when we go to the nose cam and the splitter is technically in, or the camera is technically in the racetrack because of how low the car is, it just goes black. So right back here in the corner, it just goes black. There's nothing. Wait for it. It'll come back. I promise. Down the straightaway, maybe? There we go. Yeah, finally. I mean, that is how low the car is, and there it goes again. That's how low the car is around this racetrack. It is incredible. It's not letting me change out of it. Hang on, there we go.
Interesting to see.
There we go.
Just
back to the inside.
Turzak's gonna try to get the momentum off the exit with the middle line. He is. He's gonna be able to clear him again. Oh, it's gotta be happening soon. But if you're Turzak, you gotta be thinking, man, I've led 106 laps. I've been dominating this race. Now I gotta fight one of the best in Cole Cabri.
Down to the inside, Cabri takes it low. Turzak covers it up. Squeezes him like a lemon. Caution! Chase Williamson, oh my goodness, not the 5 car.
No!
The car looks okay. It's definitely got some damage to the right side.
Dang.
That right front has definitely seen better days. This is going to take this one down to the wire. It's going to be a big restart game between Cabri and Turzak, but in the middle of the field, Chase Williamson racing with Matt Rolfe, who is now 9th. That kind of tells you where this was, around 8th spot maybe. Was following Spencer Dickinson into the corner, and Rolfe just nudges the 5 and turns him around.
Oh.
Wow.
Yo, these guys are doing a phenomenal job of saving these cars when they're wrecking out of control. That is just not the first time we've seen it tonight, but that is just phenomenal driving from anybody that gets turned around. They just know how to save these cars and get it back going straight without any damage.
And league owner Matt Rolfe has already taken fault for the incident. He will go to the rear of the field. That makes that one pretty cut and dry. Well, it's between these two at the front of the field then. We will have less than 5 laps to go, maybe exactly 5 laps to go when we go back green. If you're enjoying what you're excuse me, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, just imagine how it's going to be in a week when we have a mystery track. We don't know where we're going yet. Round 6 on November 13th. In between now and then, we go Veterans Day racing with the BRB Sundance Pro Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That'll be fun. If you haven't tuned in for one of those broadcasts yet, it's the ARCA cars at NASCAR-style racetracks. We've been to Daytona. We've been to Nashville. We've been to, oh my gosh, race 3 was Richmond. Then we went to Long Beach earlier this week, 2 nights ago. Next up, we go to Charlotte. Then North Wilkesboro and some others along the way. And of course, we have our MX Raps pre-race show. That's where Zach King usually joins us on the mic. Zach, glad you're here tonight. Next up for these guys, though, for the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series, it's a mystery round. We don't know where we're going yet. So keep in touch for that. And look at that. Sunday, November 16th, we close out the 2025 edition of the Major Series. The Americas region comes to a close, along with International and European, when we take Super Formula race cars out to Suzuka Circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. You can catch all these broadcasts and more on Pit Stop TV all across the internet. And we will have 4 laps to go when we go back green. So far, only a handful of votes have been made. You've got to make them. If you're watching over on YouTube, and if you're not watching on YouTube, get over to YouTube, make your vote. I know you can do it. I know you've got a smart device nearby. You can make that vote. I promise. But here we go. 4 laps to go. Turzak versus Cabri versus Cottle versus Dempster. Then Harberts, Edwards, McCullum, Dickinson, Allman, and Pope your top 10. 4 laps to go at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Green flag is back out. Watch that 54.
Zach did a phenomenal job. They're not laying back, but he kept the gap where Cabri could not get to the bottom. This is going to be awesome. If Turzak can get this win, this is going to be such a great thing for him. He's been dominating this whole race. 112 laps, coming to 113. Lap 113 led for Kyle Turzak.
The inside goes Cabri. Cottle and Dempster race for second, or for third rather. This time by will be 2 laps to go for one of the youngest in the series. He's been trying to refine himself as a driver, get better and better, more patient, more calculated. We've been singing his praises for weeks on end, wondering when that first big win would come. A lap and a half to go. Kyle Turzak holding off the best driver currently in the series. White flag this time by. If we can just get there, this race will be official. White flag is out. One more time around IRP, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Here we go.
How aggressive does Cabri get, going for win number 3 on the season? Turzak still running that middle. Might have to give him a middle line. Turzak, now he goes to the bottom. Oh no.
Turzak covers the sand. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Turzak clears up. Kyle Turzak is finally going to win in the SARA Super Series.
Wow.
Kyle Turzak will finally get it done. Oh my goodness, it has been weeks, months, years waiting for this first big win for this guy. That's incredible.
I hope
Finally.
he blows this clip and burns it all the way down. Wow, what a drive from Turzak tonight, and what a great burnout we got going on over here. Holy cow.
We don't usually see a lot of burnouts from these guys, but I know this guy's excited. This is big for him, big for Ryan Kuhn Motorsports, showing they can still hang with the biggest of the big in the SARA Super Series. And that is a big burnout out of driver 15. Kyle Turzak gets it done over Cole Cabry and Cody Dempster, who fill out the top three. We'll take a look at your full race results in just a moment, but take this one in. Let this one sink in. Kyle Turzak finally gets it done. Let's take a look back at the unofficial race results here in just a second. I don't think anything's going to change for the win this time, though. I know the win at Irwindale was changed last week after contact with Cameron Hamilton. But Kyle Turzak will get it done this evening. I don't think there's any arguing that. At the top of the board, there you see car 15 led 114 of 115 laps. Somebody got him at a caution lap or a restart or something. Otherwise, he led every single one tonight. Kyle Turzak gets it done, I believe, with the fastest lap as well, a 21.111, matching his stat line for the night. Cole Cabry, second place. Cody Dempster, third. Josh Cottle comes home a very strong fourth over Jacob Harbertson, fifth. They've each got wins this season. They're just adding points to their totals. Alex McCullum finally gets the ship righted again. He finishes sixth over Colin Allman in seventh. It'll be Spencer Dickinson, Daniel Pope, and Parker Traves rounding out your top 10.
Finishing 11th was Mitch Strunowski. Behind him was Trevor Edwards. 13th, Kyle Meyer. 14th, Dante Curtis. 15th, Justin Laxton. 16th, Justin Crow. 17th, unfortunately. Had a strong race going earlier on in the race. Chase Williamson. Behind him, 18th was Corey Bodie. Behind him was Brian Tadashi. And 20th was Joel Smith.
And finishing down in 21st spot, you will find driver 79, Tracy Petter, a bit of a rough night for him. Blake Thronberg, same deal. Matt Rolfe, of course, went to the back after that caution that he caused. Cameron Hamilton, deep in the field, 24th. Keith Jeffrey had a couple of spins. He'll finish 25th. Chris Horton will just make it into the 26th spot. He was subbing tonight, I believe, for Blake Massengill. And yes, it looks that way. Still, Langford finishes 27th. Joe Schaefer Jr. 28th, and Aaron Johnson and Kendall Tucker, the remainder of the field tonight. Let's bring in race winner Kyle Turzak, who gets it done. We have been waiting. I can't even formulate words. Kyle, we've been waiting, singing your praises. It feels like as soon as we usually do that, something goes wrong. Tonight, everything finally aligned. I mean, how does it feel? Can you even put this into words?
No, not really. It feels amazing. We had that Nashville incident with, passing McCollum and then having to pit for fuel right there, and that was a bit bummer because I knew that we were the fastest car on the long run. And tonight, honestly, I didn't think. I mean, we knew we had a good car, but we didn't really, what to expect. Nobody knows where everybody is until we get actually in the session. And as soon as I qualified second, I knew that we had a pretty good piece, and and we got that lucky handicap there starting on the pole. And I knew that, I kind of had to save tire while I could. And as soon as Cabry got there, that's when I unleashed it. And we were pretty even, but he got me. I slipped up and 1 or 2 a couple of times, went to the third lane, and that's how I allowed him to get me. But I put my head down, and after that restart, I knew he was going to do a slide job, so I did everything to protect it.
And of course, last week at Irwindale, we weren't live for the broadcast, but I heard there were some shenanigans in the final lap, and there were some shockwaves sent with a disqualification for Cameron Hamilton, or at least a move to the back of the field because of contact for the win. So, in your mind, you've got that freshly happening just a week ago. You're the leader going into that last lap. What was your thought process like trying to defend and make sure you couldn't allow him to get to your inside, or that if he did, it would have to take that kind of contact?
Yeah, I know Cabry's a pretty clean driver. I got a lot of respect for Cabry, one of the best to ever do it in Super, series champion last year. And I knew that on restart, he was going to be aggressive. He on that restart prior, he crossed me over and he threw it in there and made a little contact, but it wasn't a lot. It was just hard racing. But it was just who could get that final pass, and whoever can get the slide job off. And I knew that Cabry was doing the slide jobs our race on the bottom, so he knew how to pass, and I didn't have to pass a single car, so I was a bit nervous going to that final restart. But I got him guessing on the restart, and that definitely helped me. But it's these races are not easy for sure.
And it's your first one, maybe of many, hopefully of many. I mean, you're finally, though, putting a 1 in that column. You're finally putting something there other than a goose egg. What's that feel like? Now that you can kind of finally start on this journey of starting to amass more than just the 1, you can start to maybe look for a certain track that's coming up and focus on that. I mean, does this change that perspective, or is it still the same kind of game plan when you unload next week, wherever we go for mystery race number 3?
Oh yeah, for sure. I got the monkey off my back for this one. I've been looking for the Super win for a long time and finally got it. So, mystery nights are definitely tough. Our cam tries to bring the best ability, which I think we do, but obviously, everyone's hustling on the mystery nights. So, New Smyrna has definitely been circled on my calendar, ever since the World of Asphalt, I think it was called, something like that. I knew I was pretty good there. And, hopefully when we go back there with the Super Series, we can be really competitive.
Of course, that World Series of Asphalt race for the Major Series was broadcast here on Pit Stop TV. You were great in that. We'll be watching out for you at New Smyrna and all the races between and after. Congratulations, Kyle. You finally get one off your back here. You finally put a 1 in the win column. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody at our Camp Sub Shop. We put a lot of time in this week, and Ryan Coon's the man for sure. Hot Shot Photography for the best iris and stuff. 918 custom designs with this sick looking 15 tonight. You guys for putting the broadcast on, Matt Rolfe and Terzak Racing on Facebook.
Kyle Terzak finally gets himself one. Congratulations to Kyle Terzak getting a victory here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll move on down to second position. That'll be Cole Cabry, who comes up 1 spot shy. Of course, got that win last week at Irwindale. Did you just want to let these other guys get one this week? Are you back to victory lane next week, or what's that like, Cole?
Oh, man, no, it's been a hell of a run. If I didn't have that mistake at Bullring, I would be on the podium for every race now. So, no, this is awesome, man. We got good points tonight. Coming from 23rd to 2nd, that was pretty badass. 3 wide to the bottom every lap. I was sending it. Had the boys on the spotter stand. Blake, he did a hell of a job, and Trevor, Josh, all these guys on the shop they do an incredible job with these setups, and I wouldn't definitely not be here without those guys.
I think the big story of the night is going to be Kyle's win. Of course, it's his first, but the big story, I think, of the week is going to be that you do go from 23rd to 2nd, and you continue to keep putting points in these guys that are trying to catch up to you. Josh Cottle, 2 spots back. Jacob Harbert's 3 spots back. Alex McCullum, 4 spots back. And those numbers keep getting bigger the further you go. So looking at the season, this is starting to look like last season wasn't a fluke, and you're going to add to your number of championships here. So moving forward, how do you keep this up?
Yeah, we just keep staying consistent. Those guys are going to have good races, and, Alex, Josh, Jacob, you can never count them out. They're always going to be there, and there's going to be some times where I'll finish 4th to them, but as long as we can keep having nights like this and, I get some bonus points and stay ahead of them, and you can let them have those good nights because sometimes they end up like this. So yeah, as long as we can stay consistent and just keep our nose clean the rest of the season, I think we'll be all right. And we still have 2 drops left, so if anything does happen, we have those in our back pocket.
My co-commentator tonight, Zach King, he's new to this style of racing, the super late model and everything. He just sent me a message while I was talking to you. Cabry was amazing tonight. So he's left in shock. Like he can't even comprehend this. Congratulations. I mean, watching you go 3 wide at the back of the field, on through the field, it was really impressive. You're leading the driver of the day vote. It's not over yet until we finish talking to Cody, but I think you're probably going to get it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Zach. And once again, thank you guys for dealing with us and coming and doing this on a Thursday night. We missed you guys last week, so it's definitely going to be. I enjoy going to bed and watching the replay. So I appreciate you guys, and thank you to everyone.
Going to be a good one from tonight's race. That's Cole Camry, second place. Congratulations, Cole. We'll move on down and grab third place. That is going to be Cody Dempster, a driver we don't talk to all that often. Good to be talking to you, Cody, and I feel like we've talked to you at some point recently, so starting to get some of these finishes up towards the front where you need them. What was the battling out there like tonight? Cars going low, cars going high, everybody all over the place.
It's just, it was one of them nights where you're just chasing the racetrack a little bit. This place is a really hard track to build for. All the shop guys killed it with putting in the work, getting this thing good, and then you just chase the racetrack as the night goes on, as your car changes, as tires wear and heat cycles and everything like that. So, you might be running the top and for 5 laps, and the next thing you know, you're running a big slider line and using a little bit of the flat part of the racing surface. And it's just chasing the racetrack, chasing the race car, trying to make passes all at the same time. I really, really like this place. It's a really racy racetrack. You can go a lot of places to make speed, or you can go to the trunk really quickly, and thankfully we didn't do that tonight.
Of course, I'm looking at the standings over on my other monitor. Not really your season in those terms, but as you start to stack some of these finishes up and continue to finish towards the front, what do you need to move up a couple of spots in this kind of case? What do you need to break through and get that win like Kyle got tonight?
That's just consistency, right? It's just put a string of, the more often that you can put a string of good runs together, the more likely you're in a position to be there. I missed a couple races at the beginning of the season with the real racing schedule, and I know I'm going to miss one more here in a couple weeks. I'm going to miss the fall brawl, unfortunately, but other than that, just be here every week, be consistent, run good, stay clean, and eventually it's all just going to come together. The shop guys, we all saw Cabre go from 23rd to 2nd. The car had the speed, and I had the speed at the end once I figured out where I needed to be personally. It just it's doing the same thing, it's doing the right thing all the time, and eventually it's just going to come to you.
Well, Cody, good to talk to you. Congratulations, third place tonight after a strong run up front. We'll be watching for car 24 a whole lot more this season.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you doing the broadcast, and you don't get to go on any more vacations. We missed you last week.
It's good to be back. Congratulations, Cody Dempster, third place. And I'm glad that we're able to get back to our usual form here this evening with the SARA Super Series and continue on this season. We've got a lot of great races coming up. We took a look at this schedule earlier. One more time here. A mystery race coming up next, then Caffeine and Octane Linear Raceway to break out the new year on January 8th. So a lot of time in between. These guys will have a lot of time to get ready for that back end of this schedule. But, Zach, it's not just like they can sit back and just test. We got a lot else going on in between now and then. Here's a look at the Impel Motorsports National Tour, and there you see why we're off for a lot of the back end of this calendar year. We have the Fall Brawl, November 20th. The Thanksgiving Classic, December 4th, and the Kern Winter Classic, December 18th. These are 3 really big races coming up for the Impel Motorsports National Tour. We have one more Super Series race before these 3, but man, it is going to be a string of big late model races here on the sim for this National Tour. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing how it all comes together.
Yeah, always when you're going to different tracks every week, and then you have the mystery races where you don't know where you're racing at. But it's going to be a phenomenal race when we go to the 5 Flags, then Southern, and then Kern. All these races are just really, really fun. This first race that I've ever done, this was a phenomenal race. So if this is how this race, if that's how all the races are just like this, oh, we're in for a treat.
I'd say they usually are. We gave you a little bit extra time to get some votes in over for the North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote. We will wrap that up now, and I don't think this is any kind of surprise. Cole Camry was leading the vote when we talked to him. He will stay on top, and Cole Camry will win today's Driver of the Day vote. Definitely deserved. Again, 23rd to 2nd spot. That is very much well-deserved for Car 54. And, I mean, you go back and look at the power rankings, it's reflecting, once again, who is on top. I mean, this guy, we bragged on Alex McCullum for a long time, and he's still really good, but he's having a couple of off seasons. and Cabry is quickly stepping into that position at the top of the series. He's bringing in his other shop guys with him. You know, Cottle's not far back. Dempster finished up front. Edwards ran up front. But it's definitely, undoubtedly right now, Cole Cabry at the top of this Super Series, even the National Tour. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see how the series moves on from here. A National Tour spree coming up after one more mystery race here in the calendar year of 2025. And one more time, here's what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. We have got some Charlotte Motor Speedway racing with ARCA cars coming up next week on Tuesday. Then a mystery race, of course, for the Super Series on Thursday. Excuse me. I'm nursing a cold or something going on. And then, of course, we go to Suzuka Circuit next Sunday with Super Formula cars. You can catch all of this and more across the platforms for us here at Pit Stop TV. And there's one more thing. Of course, we got to thank who brings us here on these Thursday evenings and allows us to take part and broadcast these events. We're glad to do so. Of course, a lot of partners with this series. All Pro Virtual League, Brown Racing Development, Brett Suggs Racing Media. And just for a second, I want to brag on Brett Suggs recently. He jumped behind the wheel of Landon Huffman's late model stock. Limited late model. And I think Kyle Campbell's Pro Late model recently at Troy County Motor Speedway. This is a couple of weeks ago now, so it's a little fuzzy in my memory, but I was there broadcasting that event for Pit Road TV, and Brett Suggs went from being out of the seat for a while, just jumped in those cars. I'm sure he had a test or two to get back up to speed, but jumped in those cars and ran up front. Nearly won the Pro Late Model race for the South Atlantic Pro Late Models, and still ran towards the front, I think, top 5 in the limited late model race, which was undoubtedly a little more stacked. So he was up against some of the best in pro late model racing in the pro race, some of the best in limited late model racing in the limited race, and finished up front. So really cool to see Brett running up front at one of these local tracks in North Carolina and doing well with that Landon Huffman crew and Kyle Campbell crew. So congratulations to Brett on some good runs recently. Also want to thank, of course, Corey Bodie Motorsports, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, Dylan Bates Racing, Hides, Pride Leather and Sheepskin, Hot Shot Photography, Impel Motorsports, and, of course, the International Short Track Association, Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, Privateer Race Parts, RJW21 Management, RS Hunter Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimRepMarket.com, the Association, and Trackside Threads, and our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design, as well as Lucky Performance and the North American Racing League. To give myself a second to cough here, Zach, I gotta know, now that you've got a short track race under your belt here, a Super Late Model race, a SARA Super Series race for that matter, under your belt here, final thoughts from IRP.
I could never do this short track racing, but God, they are so fun to commentate. And it makes me want to go to a short track and watch a short track night race and see how it looks in real life. It just phenomenal how everything just went tonight. And watching Cabry go through the field when you were on, the broadcast, like you had another angle, I had another angle. It was just phenomenal seeing how somebody so good is able just to go through the field, even though the lap times were so similar all night. Like, none of his lap times really stuck out to me when I was looking at the lap times, but he was just able to put his car in a really, really good position to make moves and get to the front.
It was a really good race here at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Congratulations once again to Kyle Turzak getting it done, and of course today's driver of the day, Cole Cabry. That'll be it for us here from the virtual IRP. Thanks so much for tuning in, and a big thank you goes out to Pedley's Garage Incorporated being on board this evening, making this event possible. It's been fun. It's been real. I'm sick. My throat hurts. That's going to be it for us tonight. We'll see you all next time, hopefully Tuesday for the BRB Sundance Pro Series. You'll hear myself and Zach King and hopefully Zach Murtis on the call for that one. We'll see you all there. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week for the next mystery race coming up next Thursday. We'll catch you for that one for the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series coming right up in just a week.